Welcome to Real Health with me, Karl Henry. Folks, are weight loss drugs the be-all and end-all? Are they for a little weight loss or only for a lot? Well, I'm delighted to say I am joined by John Kane, who can give a first-hand perspective on the drug and its effects. As he was on the weight loss drug, he came off it, and now he's back on it again. John, welcome to Real Health. How are you?
Thanks very much, Carl.
Thank you for coming in.
No problem.
I think this is an important episode.
I hope it is, because I've been zealous about promoting the use of GLP, which is the generic name for treatments. And it's the weight loss drug that I use. And I got called to a trial just by fluke. People in Vincent's were looking at patients' markers, and I must have come up.
You ticked all the boxes. And tell us about that. So before you went on the weight loss medication, what did you present with to get accepted into the trial? So in terms of from a weight perspective or from a health conditions perspective?
I was probably definitely obese. I was well over 18 stone.
Were you? Okay.
And I'm only I thought I was 5'9", but in fact that's a bit of vanity. I'm now 5'7", shrinking.
You shrink as we get older, don't worry. Yeah.
My mobility was definitely in question.
Okay.
So arthritis and exercise, and all that. So I was very lucky. So, I've been very lucky all along with the treatments.
Can I ask you, when you got that call that you were, you could take part in the trial to go on a weight loss drug, what was your reaction to that?
Well, I got 3 calls. The first one was, would you be interested? And I went, yeah.
Okay.
And frankly, didn't think about it because I thought, chances in hell.
Okay.
Second call, about 3 weeks later, and I went, yes. Yes. And the third call was, come and meet Professor Karl Henry
I've interviewed Karl
of Strive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was the guy doing the clinical research.
And have you tried to lose weight prior to this?
Yeah. Yo-yos.
Okay.
Yo-yo diet, Slimming World, all of that. I do think there was a good public program held in Nola O'Neill was her name. She was a dietitian, senior dietitian with our public service.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was pretty good. And I did lose. Lost about a stone. My wife came with me just as a companion. She lost more weight than I did, and she doesn't need to lose any.
Okay.
But I lost roughly about a stone. But the minute it was over, I put it back on.
Yeah.
So back to getting the call for Karl Henry and the Strive, that's what they call the Strive program, which is essentially the Ozempic, a gym called MedFit.
Oh, yeah.
Where all of the resistance training and so on, the machines are geared to you exactly.
It's a good place to bring us to. So as part of the trial, you were given the medication, but you were also given an exercise program to complete alongside the medication.
Oh, absolutely. And what's more, nutritional advice.
Yep, good.
And then much later on, I'm just going to call it psycho advice by a really nice man called Finian Fallon.
Okay.
All of which I just went for with a zeal. I just decided, I'm so lucky to get this chance again. I'm going to grab it. And that's what I did.
And it's important to people listening in who are thinking about going on the drug or maybe be on the drug that you didn't just go on the drug.
No.
And that's important to bring into the discussion. That there was exercise program, there's a psychological kind of help as well, food help along with the drug. So it was kind of that jigsaw approach to health and wellness, which no matter how you try to lose weight, that's how it should be. There should be a multifactorial approach to it. It shouldn't be just a food plan or just a whatever.
Just one thing, the psych help wasn't as huge as because they asked me what did I think, and I said, you're missing this component. Now they had already thought that, so it was in a group setting, but it didn't matter. If you get people who are all suffering the same thing, you get them around a table, you're learning from one another. Now,
and
all of these people.
Did you see obesity as a disease? Did you see it like that?
Oh, no.
That's a terminology for it now.
No, I didn't, because I have been sales and marketing most of my life. Okay. I would deal with, I would take senior corporates to functions abroad and symposiums and stuff like that abroad. No big deal. And every time I was putting on weight, I'd just go into my tailor and I'd say, it's January, I'm here for the sales and the bargains. And he'd go, oh, Christ. Anyway, I'd get 2 new big shirts or big suits, and then I'd new shirts, and that was it. And I never had a problem with my confidence on that until suddenly a couple of things came up. But the one that I remember most was I've now changed and I'm doing something that I really wanted to do, which was for no commissions. I was working, trying to raise funds for mental health charities, and no commissions, hasten to add. And there was a group thing going on, and they said, "Okay, we're going to do this," and it involved a lot of walking. And turned around to me and said, "You're too slow."
Wow.
Oh. The other thing was, my mother was only 20 years older than me. She had great guts, but she dropped something, in her later years. And when she found she needed a picker to pick most things up eventually, which was an awful pity, but she dropped some things, and then I noticed she'd leave it on the floor for whoever came in to pick it up for her. One day, this couch potato sitting there looking at the TV, dropped something down the side, and I went, "Oh."
So it began to impact your mobility, impact your life.
The lights started going on, yeah.
And okay, so you get the trial, you get sent out the drug.
I go in.
You go in for, okay, and then tell me about the effects of that over the first, month or two.
Getting used to it was a bit of a challenge, maybe over 3 weeks.
In what way?
A bit of gut, feeling a little off. Certainly constipation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I dove into stuff like prune juice and prunes and stuff like that. Anyway, within a month, I was flying on it. And then I really went, I decided I had been made retire. Long story.
Okay.
And
were you on daily injections?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is liraglutide, the predecessor to Ozempic, which is semaglutide, right? And before I knew where I was injecting every day. I was going down 3 days a week to this gym. I was following the diet, the dietitian advice. She's a nutritionist.
Yep.
And I just stuck at it. And I did an awful lot of exercise on my own.
Okay.
On my own time.
Okay, so very much you went for it.
Oh, no question, because I said to Karl, I said, "Thank you very much. You've given me my last chance, and I know it." And I never expected to get it. So at 68, I really went for it for 2 years. I finished just as COVID started.
So a couple of things aligned. One was the trigger points and the trigger moments of not being able to pick up the thing off the floor, of the walking slowly, of retiring, and then the study. It all kind of came together.
Yeah.
So you had the motivation from the trigger point, the help and support from the study, and then the time to really kind of go for it.
Yeah.
And chat to us about the results then.
I lost 16% of my weight.
16,
16,
sorry, yeah.
16% of my weight. And the story is not about weight loss. This is the one thing I'm dying to get across. It's about health gain. Hard to say that when you're younger, but it really is about health gain. And the reason it is because then suddenly you can bend down and pick stuff up. You can walk with the rest of them. Your life isn't closing down anymore. It's expanding. And we set up our own walking group called Strive, headed up by a man called Noel Mulligan. He was just a great guy. Huge man, right? And he was part of us. And it was brilliant. And a lot of the support came from within our own groups. At one stage, there were 13 or 14 of us one Christmas on a barge going up and down the canal, just as a get-together. So, yeah, loved it.
Okay, so over the 2 year time frame, your weight loss was in the region of what, 3-4 stone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hit 14. No, I went to 13.
Okay, so just
and this lady called Verd. Oh God, she wasn't pleased. It's not sustainable, and she was right. But I had to have a go.
It is common.
I ended up about 14 and a half.
Okay.
Maybe a little more, but not much.
We would have seen it with the documentaries on RT1 around Ozempic and weight loss meds. There is an element that people can get somewhat addicted to the process.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
And they get over-focused on a number sometimes.
I wasn't worried about the number because I could see the benefits coming through. I was well able to, truthfully, I never had a mental health issue. But by God, I could feel a lot more positive about most things. My activity levels were way up. And generally speaking, I have to say, world possibilities widened. And at the end of the 2 years, I booked the Camino. And a very good friend of mine, Pat Kelly, took me. I was with a group of maybe 30. I was the oldest by far, 70 at that stage. And Pat, in fairness to him, kept me in tow. I'd tell them all to go on, and I got on well with the guide, and he put his flag up, and I'd see where he was way in the distance. I'd fine. So I wasn't slow anymore, but I wasn't as fast as them. They'd 30 years on me,
And in terms of the medication then, chat to me about the benefits. Was it that you found you were full faster?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say I wasn't interested in food, but there was a time when I could skip meals and not even remember, right? Now, seriously.
Being on when you were on the meds?
I'm on the meds.
Yeah.
And
you just weren't hungry.
I just wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
And none of that really appealed to me. What appealed to me was the benefits.
Yeah.
And the benefits were, I was eating far less. I mean, my portions were way down. Yeah. I mean, I would sit down, and if the kids my grandkids left something behind, I'd hoover it up.
Yes.
Stopped. Now, to this day, I'm challenged by food, particularly bread. God Almighty,
Okay. Yeah.
It's my go-to comfort. But and you become conscious of the food you're taking.
There's an awareness piece to it.
Oh, huge piece to it, and a lot more peace of mind.
And did you find the benefits of it outweighed the complications of it, such as the constipation?
That was very short-lived.
Okay.
I mean,
settled after.
I don't know whether I was lucky. I think they called me a super responder. Okay. I was just.
It worked for you.
It really worked. I mean, I would say it really, really worked. I loved it. I loved doing it. Right.
And then at the end of the 2 years, you came off the meds.
At the end of the 2 years, I only got year 2 because I had exceeded the 15% threshold. But you still kept the gym and all other benefits. But at the end of year 2, I came off. And I remember doing a short speech to the combined doctors at 8 o'clock in Vincent's, I don't know what they call it, the ground something. Big auditorium, lashed it out, and quite surprised, big Bula boss. And then, I can't think of his name, said to me, "So what now?" And I said, "Well, nothing, it's over." And he said, "No," I said, "It's over." I can't think of the man's name. It's going to kill me. That was it. It was over. Went to get the drug, 275 quid.
Okay, so on the trial it was free.
Yeah. Yep. And this is not in our book. We were on a very modest income. Mm-hmm. And it just wasn't there. So 6 months later, I've now put on about half the weight I'd lost.
Okay. So say we lost 4, so back on 2.
Yeah, and I was not a happy bunny. And Tricia, my wife, said to me, we were talking about it, and she said, "Look, just go back on it."
And did you find that your appetite just returned?
Oh yeah.
It was there.
Yeah. It had lay dormant, and then suddenly was back in.
Oh, okay. And was that instant? Was that like a week or two after coming off?
Pretty much instant. Yeah. I mean, you're trying to wean yourself and not do more and more, but gradually it just builds up. So yes, okay. And that weight I've lost, I can't get back down to again.
And that was the only change in the setup. You were still doing your walking, your exercises, pretty much. Well,
I'm 76 now, so I don't really do it as much as I used to.
In terms of when you came off the medication, when I was trying to get to that, everything else stayed vaguely the same in terms of movement levels and output of calories, and then you just...
I was very lucky because I still kept a sort of informal connection with Karl Henry, and just occasionally he'd give you a bit of a pep advice, which was good. And then I joined my GP is a guy called, oh God, John. This is the one thing about memory.
That's okay.
I can't bloody remember. Elaine Desmond and John Langan. And he said, I went down and said, my knees are killing me. So I could either look for new knees with the arthritis, because it is bad, or shots.
Cortisol. Yeah.
I'll have the shots, right? So I've had 2 or 3 levels of goes of shots over maybe a year and a half. Okay. And he told me to go and join a crowd called Xwell. I needed the referral. Yeah. Xwell's been another revelation. Most of them are sort of, I'm not trying to say they're limited to this, but mainly an elder set. And elders that really don't want to do a gym anymore, or gyms maybe aren't interested in them or whatever.
Okay. So exercise prescription in terms of improving the muscles around the knees. And,
and it's a full workout for an hour.
Okay.
And you could have 60 people in a very big location, right? Lochnastown health centres where I go. You could, that would be exceptional, but you certainly could have 30 to 40. Yeah. And you've got qualified instructors, and they really put you through your paces.
Chat to me about the weight then. So I'm intrigued by that piece. So the weight, so 2 stone goes back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where does that bring you to then in your head?
Oh, I was... Excuse me, maybe I shouldn't say this in a podcast. I was pissed off, royally pissed off.
That's the extent of it, that's okay.
I was disappointed, but I knew I had to do something. So when we went back on it, I got the daily jab, liraglutide, about twice. And then, thanks be to God, out came the successor, semaglutide. Yes. And compared to 275 or whatever it was, this is only 135. So it's like half.
Okay, so back on the drug.
So that was it then. It's manageable. Just manageable, I mean.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, well, it is for us.
Oh, it's a lot of money.
That's not a complaint.
Absolutely it is, yeah.
You know, my complaint
is that deductible against your tax at the end of the year?
Well, give you some. We hardly paid any tax, so it wasn't a big deal. But what I did do was, that's one of the... When I finished my treatment after 2 years, I was no longer pre-diabetic.
Yep.
Had I been pre-diabetic, I probably would have been signed off for the drug.
Yeah. Yep.
And it made me nearly think, God, I wouldn't mind. Then I went, no, stop being silly.
Okay, so you're back on the drug. Check your weight then. Did your weight change?
Oh, no, it just stayed, and it's great, And I'm not as zealous because I'm just getting a bit older, but I am still zealous enough, I do X-Well. Last week, I think I did 4 days. Yep. I just pay a monthly fee and I can go once or not at all. And I found that fantastic. A fellow called Noel McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Set it up.
Yeah.
And Noel is...
Yeah, he's great.
He's quite... He does a class and I'm going, I don't think I'm able for him.
Yeah.
But I'm promised him I go today, but I forgot I was coming in here.
You're back into that group dynamic environment, which is really important. You surround yourself with the community that you want to become, and then you get healthier and get stronger.
Now, an awful lot of the people there are waifs. They're just trying to stay fit. They want to stay out of hospital, get ready for an operation, and just be fitter longer and get old with a little more pep in the step.
Which is good. And in terms of the medication, okay, so you went back on it because your weight was creeping up. Once you went back on it, your weight stabilised.
It arrested immediately, yeah.
Okay, and it hasn't gone up or down since?
No, but I also changed my lifestyle again. I stopped eating as much, kept exercising, and I didn't do X-Well till about a year ago.
And are you surprised that your weight hasn't come back down since you went back on the meds? Does that surprise you?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Had I not given it up, I'd be under 15 stone.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not really. I can't tell you why. Just
And
I can live with it. You know, I mean, get on the train, walk down the escalators, go up the steps. I saw some guys like your age, and they're going up 3 at a time. I'm going, and I'm going slowly, 1 at a time. But hey,
And is this something that you see being on for life then at 130?
Oh, no question.
A week?
I was on TV with a woman called Catherine Heenan.
Okay.
She's a surgeon. She does the bariatric stuff, cut away the tummy and all that.
Yeah.
And she asked me as we were going down for the interview, she said, John, you're on this for the rest of your life? I said, yes.
Yep.
And I knew by the way she asked, she was quite surprised. And I said to her, no contest. Quality of life, done. And I have no issue with it. And would I go and get bariatric surgery with no insult to anybody else? Too risky. That's why I won't get my legs done. I'm going to be the one who's going to go into hospital and get sepsis or whatever. That fear.
Yeah.
When I have to go, I'll have to go, but I ain't going yet, And I'm getting older, more fit.
And so for you, being on the medication for life keeps your weight where it is, which gives you the better quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's your driving force now for being on it.
And a much better outlook. I mean, when I was before that, I couldn't get down and play with my grandkids. It'd take me a full minute and a half to get down. And when I get down, then it'd be, oh Christ, how am I going to get up? I'm not exaggerating. Now I can get up and down. I can use my knees to get myself up and down.
2 stone less to shift, 28 pounds less.
Yeah. I'd say a good 2 stone less, maybe even a bit more. But anyway.
And did you find with the newer medication less side effects or less
Didn't worry me.
Didn't work. Okay, just wasn't a concern.
No, just wasn't a concern. I sort of, maybe it was my mindset, just went straight back into old mode, and that was it. I was flying.
And can I ask you, what's your take generally on the last year or two? It's become mainstream media. It's the challenge is the demand of it now. It's everywhere, and everyone and anybody's taking it.
I was on the radio on the phone with a presenter, and he said to me, "Well, what about people with diabetes who need it?"
Oh, well, okay.
And you're on it now.
He wasn't a nice presenter. I'd be a lot nicer too.
No. Actually, I thought it was a very valid question, and I've the height of respect for this guy. I really have. I think he gives Ireland a great voice, right? Anyway, I just said, well, I would hope the farmers will manufacture enough that everybody will get it. And then a doctor at the end of that session said, you can't be dividing ailments, A and B.
Well, diabetes is a disease. Obesity is the disease. That's how it's been framed now in terms of, from that perspective, and you're treating the disease. From a mental health perspective, did you find any impact from the drugs in terms of mental clarity, mood? Anything?
No, it was easier to be far more positive. I was always positive.
Yeah.
But before I went in it, I was getting cloudy. I would say I never suffered from depression. COVID ran me into the ground, but I managed that. But what I would say, and then I think some of that coincided with the time I was off. I think you've got to be focused very much on your health, your practice, your lifestyle. You can't change. It can only change by doing, adopting stuff that enhances the enjoyment of life. No, I don't have an issue. I don't know what you asked me. I've forgotten, gone off track.
That's not my mental health. Do you think that that there may be some placebo effect to taking the drug, that like if you think of all the exercise that you did, the movement that you did, the changes in eating habits, all which would have a very positive impact both in terms of weight but also in terms of mood and the outlook of life and positivity, that potentially part of it is that you feel by taking it you've something helping you, whether it does or whether it doesn't.
The important thing is your mindset says I'm fitter, I'm far more mobile. I've got a good presence. I'm quite happy to go and do things that I might never have done.
It's giving you back your life.
Yeah, and doing the Camino was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
it was only 7 nights.
To the convert. I have the tattoo over here from my own Camino trip this year.
I loved it, and I'd like to go again. Only the 7-day trip now for me, realistically, would have to be 10 days to do it comfortably. But
there are two kind of further questions to ask you. One is for people who are taking it, right? Do you have an opinion around those who need it versus those who are going on the holiday in 6-8 weeks' time and are taking it?
No. I have no. Forgive me. I have, and I know it's happening, but I have no truck for the promotion through Kardashians and stuff like that. Forget that. That's not where this is at. This is about improving your health and all the benefits that apply to that. And it's for people
tackling the disease of obesity.
Yes. And what it will do, and that's why I want to get the MPRA to approve it. I was looking for the guy who's ahead of it at the time. He was supposed to come to the IPHA, which is the Irish Pharmaceutical Health Association or whatever. They have a big bash in them. They had a big bash in the Mansion House, and I went there invited specifically to try and grab 5 minutes with him. And that
is your. I know we were talking about before. That's what I wanted. That was my second question for you to bring it up, which was that is your mission now. Oh, really, isn't it? Is that you would like to see this being given to people who need it?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not a medic economist, but I'd love somebody who was, because I reckon that if you say you only get a third of that million, let's be optimistic and say you get a half. So it's suitable for those, right? The resultant savings, I mean, we're not talking about just today, we're talking about for the rest of their lives. The resultant savings must be huge to the system.
Yeah, and what you're referring to there is that, they reckon there's 1 million people in Ireland who suffer from the disease of obesity.
Oh, there are.
Which is overweight.
Yeah.
So, if we got a third of those people on this medication, the impact on the health system would be dramatically improved.
Less demands.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
It's been a fascinating chat. It's an episode we wanted to do for a long time. I think it's really interesting for our listeners to chat to someone who's taken it, who has a very honest opinion of it, and who has a great mission now to try and get it made, publicly available for those who need it. So we really appreciate you coming in. It's been fantastic to have you.
Not at all. Just one last thing.
Yeah, go for it.
It's not your fault. So important to remember that. Obesity is now scientifically proved to relate to the gut and the messages to the brain that don't work. And also, repeat, I have no skin in this game. None whatsoever.
Well, look, you know what? You have experience of it, and you've taken it, and you've relayed your experience of it very honestly, and we really appreciate you coming in. Thank you so much. Folks, I really hope you enjoyed today's episode of Real Health with me, Karl Henry, a fascinating insight into weight loss medications, and we really hope that you enjoyed it. As ever, you know where we are, at Karl Henry PT on Instagram, realhealth.independent.ie, and on the Irish Independent website. If you like what you heard, don't forget to rate and review, and we'll see you next week for more Real Health. Slán go fóill.